Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Progress with number 17 in the series Viewers Games. This one is from David from the USA. He says, "Hello, I'm a chess player from the USA rated around 1490 on Lichess. I recently came upon your wonderfully instructive YouTube channel and figured I would send a game along just in case you are still taking games for analysis. This is a classical time control game that I won recently, and I would love any insights that you could provide if you have the time. Cheers, David." Let's have a look at David's game. David is black in this game. His opponent is going under the handle of Passionate. He played e4 and David replied with c6, d4, d5 and e5. We are in the Caro-Kann advanced variation. Bishop f5 is the main move, getting the bishop out of the pawn chain before pushing the e-pawn. c3, that's one of about a dozen moves that are playable here. e6, knight f3, and David played h6 to avoid his bishop being swapped with the move knight h4. g3 from white, g5, queen b3, b6 to prevent white taking on b7, bishop e2. That move is fine, but it's not consistent with the g3 move. What was the g3 move for? Normally you play g3 if you want to fianchetto your bishop to g2. Knight e7 and h4. David played g4, kicking the knight, and the knight went to h2. The pawn on g4 is now attacked twice by bishop and knight and only protected by the bishop. So David protects it one more time with the move h5. Bishop g5, queen c7, taking the knight out of the pin, and f3. This move is okay, but I would advise improving players to develop first. Develop your pieces, put your king safe. For example, knight d2 is a very good move in this position. Another thing is, making pawn pushes, making too many pawn moves can backfire. The pawns are the only pieces in the chess game that cannot go backwards, so if you make a pawn move, it is forever. So be extra careful with pawn moves. If you put a piece somewhere and it's not in a good place, you can always retreat it back. But with pawns that is not possible. So be careful with pawn moves. After f3, David took on f3. And white took with the bishop. Well, I think that knight takes f3 is more logical, as the knight was badly placed on h2. It was a way to bring the knight back into the game. But okay, bishop takes f3 was played, and bishop h6 from David. Here, white played bishop f6, I presume because he saw that he could win a pawn, but he is neglecting his development. The knight on b1 is still at home, the king is still in the center, but white decides to go pawn hunting, and we'll see what happens if you do that. The rook is attacked, so rook h7 makes sense from David, and now white took on h5, wins a pawn. Knight d7 from David, and here white played g4, another pawn push. Just look at white's position, look at white's lonely king and his scattered pieces. Despite being a pawn down, black is already totally winning here, and we've only played 60 moves. The white setup is really terrible, it hurts your eyes when looking at it. David found the best move, very strong move, knight takes f6, and white took back on f6, and then the strongest move in this position is queen g3, check, and white will already get checkmated. But David played bishop e4, which is also a good move. The rook is attacked, and if the rook moves, then the knight will be unprotected. One funny way to solve both problems in one move is castling here, which is legal. It's actually a rule that many people don't know. They think castling is illegal because the rook is attacked, but it is not. If the king is attacked, if the king is in check, yes, then castling is legal. But if the rook is attacked, you could play castling here and protect your knight. But there's a small problem with that move, and that small problem is Queen G3, checkmate indeed. So that move, the fancy castling move here, doesn't really work. It's a completely nonsense move anyway, because you put your king completely open without any protection. So white played rook f1, and the knight was taken. Queen takes h2. F takes e7, white takes material back, and if we count material, white is still a pawn up, but this position is not about material. This is about white's pieces being completely uncoordinated, some of them still being undeveloped, and the king being in the middle of the board. There's already a forced checkmate in this position. David took on h4, check, rook f2, and bishop e3. White saw no way out, there is no way out, and played queen a4, eyeing up the c6 pawn with some counterplay, but it is too late. David checkmated white with queen takes f2 check, king d1, and he can choose between two checkmate moves. He chose bishop f3 checkmate, while queen f1 checkmate is also a move. And just look at the white pieces in this final position. Of course he lost the rook, but his remaining pieces are also useless and totally uncoordinated. A very bad game from white, a very good game from black, a very good game from David. Of course your opponent plays badly, but you still have to punish it, pick up the pieces, and that's what David did very well in this game. And after 22 moves, he won with black against a higher rated opponent. Great game, David, well played. I like this game. I think it's another very good example of the importance of developing your pieces, putting your king safe, making your pieces do something and are coordinating well together. And also in this game we saw we have to be careful with pawn pushes. White pushed his pawns too much, neglected his development. Pawn pushes are dangerous because they cannot be taken back, so you have to be sure that the pawn move is a good move. And also, of course, the more you push pawns in front of your king, the less protection your king will have. The king likes protection from a pawn shield. Hope you liked this game. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess2Progress channel. I'm looking forward to your comments, and if you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on YouTube. You also may want to check my Chess2Impress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick from Chess2Progress. Thank you very much for watching this video.